Today we are going to be looking at an stamped letter in our rural letterbox written by Robert Frost. We'll be reading the poem and explaining it at the same time, and also do the analysis of the poem, look at the themes, and look at the literary devices. Robert Frost is an American nature poet. Some of his poems are centered on nature. The thematic concern of most of his poems, not only this poem, but most of his poems are centered on uh, rural areas. So let's go into the poem and see some of this thing. So the poem: last night your watchdog barked all night. Now he is addressing in form of a letter to the farm owner. So once you rose and lit the light, it wasn't someone at your lock. No, in your rural letterbox. Now he is addressing the homeowner and the owner of the farm, that the barking of the dog in the night was as a result of the stranger, the tramp in the camp in his farm, not because the dog is barking at darkness or trees. So I leave this note without a stamp to tell you it was just a tramp who used your pasture for a camp, and they pointed like the peep of spades. Now he is addressing the farm owner that he is just a tramp, means he is a commoner, a homeless man, and then he uses the farm as a camp in the night. So, and he narrated his experience. Look at it, the young spruce made a suit of glade, and so regular that in the dark, the place was like a city park. So even in the dark, the farm looked like a city park to him. And look at it, there I elected to demur beneath a low slung juniper. Now he decided to sleep under a juniper tree, and that like a blanket on my chin kept some dew out and some heat in. So the juniper tree produces a certain degree of heat for him, warmth for him, that he was not feeling much cold, and the dew was not directly wetting him. The juniper tree was able to keep the dews away from him, and yet left me freely face to face. Despite that the juniper tree provide warmth for him, he was still lying down face to face with this universe, with this sky. And look at the first line here. It may have been at 2 o'clock that under me a point of rock developed in the class and in the grass and fern. So he was putting down his experiences in form of a letter for the owner of the farm owner. And as I woke, afraid to turn, this is his experience now. When he woke up, he was afraid to turn, or so much as uncross my feet, even to untie his feet, to uncross his feet, he was afraid, lest having wasted precious heat, I never should again be warmed. So his fear now is that if he turn and uncross his feet, there is probability that he is going to lose the warmth, and the cold will overtake him. So the largest fire drop ever formed from 2 stars having collapsed went streaking molten down the west. Now, this is his experience. As he was facing the sky, he saw 2 stars conjoining, collapsing together. And then heat, a form of warmth, was coming from that experiences. And that was one of the reasons why he doesn't want to turn or to to uncross his feet so that he will not lose the warmth and even lose the experiences. And then your tramp astrologer, now he is telling us that he is now becoming an astrologer, because an astrologer is someone who interprets the sky, the star, the moon, the sun, and gives some universal meaning to it. So now, as a tramp, he is not just a tramp, but he is now a tramp astrologer. Look at it in the first line in this slide. Is now an astrologer in the sense that he is now giving meaning to his own life. Before, he is just a tramp, but now he is not just a tramp, he is an astrologer interpreting the conjoining of the stars in the sky. So from seeing this undoubted star in heaven's firm set firmament, he himself have the equivalent only within, inside the brain, two memories that long had lain now quivered towards each other. Now he is describing the coming together of the sky. Leap together and together sleep. For a moment all was plain, that men have done about in vain. Now let's go to the one. Please, my involuntary guest. Now he is directly addressing the farm owner again. Forgive me if I seem to boast. Now he called him involuntary guest, involuntary host, because he did not seek his consent before using his farmland as a camp. And now he is trying to tell him that even if what he is trying to say is a boast or a form of arrogance, he should forgive him. It is possible you may have sinned and went through a rusty scream. That is, he is telling the farm owner that probably he must have seen stars conjoining before, but his experience is only through the window, that he call it a rusty screen. But him, he has first-hand experience through the open space. The same sign in heaven show your guest. Probably he has also experienced what the involuntary guests have also experienced. Each knows his own discernment best, and you have had your own advantage. The advantage is that he is covered by roof and protected from the dew. But however, the tramp also have his own advantage of having open space experience of the conjoining and activity happening in the sky. So things must have happened to you, yes, and have occurred to you, no doubt. If not indeed from sleeping out, then from the work you went about in farming, or pretty well, it's partly to compare myself in a former pauperis, to say as much as I wrote to you this. Now, at the end of the poem, he referred to himself as a former pauperess, which is probably a former pauper. Now, he did not consider himself as a pauper again. He considered himself as an astrologer with rich experiences and memory. So you can see that from the... Now he is pitying the owner of the farm. Before, he was having pity for himself, calling himself just a tramp. But now at the end of the poem, he is now having pity for the owner of the farm, the farmer, because the rich experiences he had in the farmland, the owner doesn't have such, because the owner is sleeping in a house and he is denied having such experience by the roof that covered his house. So you can see that from the first stanza, he is a pitiable tramp, but on the last stanza, the owner of the farm now is a pitiable farmer whom the tramp is now having pity for, because he has lost a lot of experiences as a result of having a roof over himself. And now in this poem, Froth is also advocating for interaction with nature. Now he slept under a juniper tree and had a very good experiences. Not he have two form of experiences. The experience with the heavenly bodies, the firmament where he saw stars conjoining together, and then the experiences he had with the farmland where he described them as a city park in the night, and then he had experienced some grasses shooting up like mountain while he was lying down under the juniper tree. So the major figure of speech used in this is apostrophe, because he was addressing somebody that is incapable of listening or not present at that time. So all his address to the farm owner is apostrophic in nature, because the farm owner is not close by, and the rural letter box also will give a sense of belonging to the farm owner, that he has lost some experiences, and probably will also try to have an open space experience by sleeping either in the farmland or in the compound. So we can see from this poem that Frost is telling us how interaction with nature bring wonderful experiences. And also you can see that it also suggests that our perception of others can have an impact upon them and make them feel that they are of no worth in the universe. So this also linked to the wider narrative along the path of our lives. The vast universe we may be perceived by others in different ways. So we see that such experience is good not only for the persona but even for the farm owner to have such experience, because from the experiences it gives a sense of value and realization. A sense of value and realization. So we see that ironically, the homeless man asks for forgiveness if he seems to boast. So being a tramp must be extremely difficult and miserable. But he seems to be fine with his circumstances, suggesting that he now has a better understanding of the world. And his life experiences now have made him a better person. So his whole perception of the world appears to have changed, linking to the wider narrative just because he experienced a moment of intense natural beauty. So in this forward now, some of the dominant theme is the relationship between man and nature, and also we can say theme of poverty and homelessness, because the tramp is homeless, is poor, and at the end he referred to himself as a former pauper. And as I said earlier, apostrophe is the major figure of speech used in this poem. And the poem is blank verse, it's free verse. It does not have a rhythmical pattern, and it's not divided into stanzas. And most of Frost's poem, not only this, are written in free verse. So it is a deviation from the conventional poetic tradition in the 19th century American society. So we'll be discussing another poem. We'll be discussing beaches, out, and beach tree in the subsequent video. So you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can be updated to be notified when another video is uploaded. So so look at the theme. Have the theme of the poem. I told you some of the theme. The poem assert the dignity of tramp, a homeless man who sleep under a farmer's juniper tree to try to keep warm. So the poem shows this homeless man to be sensitive or resourceful and educated, and to love nature and have memories, and a soul that are touched by the sight of two stars that seem to merge in the night sky. So, apostrophe is dominant, and we also have other figures of speech, the use of alliteration like lit light, and then alliteration, with the use of assonance, and also the use of innuendo is common in the poem. So, in the next lesson, we are going to be looking at beech tree. We'll be discussing it, also the literary devices, the themes, and the analysis of the poem. So, thank you.